And there's a brother named D.L. Hughley.
Yep.
And until he take accountability, I won't let it go. Right. See, when we say family is sacred,
right.
Family is sacred. And we know that you don't cross the line when it comes to family.
Monique has recently thrown shade at D.L. Hughley for his questionable ascent to fame, and it appears that D.L.'s daughter might be leaning towards her perspective. So what exactly did she say? According to Monique, D.L. Hughley has been speaking negatively about her for years, though their actual feud began during a 2022 stand-up comedy performance in Detroit, Michigan. Apparently, after headlining a show together in Detroit in May 2022, comedians D.L. Hughley and Monique found themselves embroiled in a highly publicized dispute over what many have dubbed a contract disagreement. The initial clash quickly escalated into a multifaceted feud, triggering a flurry of attention-grabbing social media posts and ongoing commentary from bystanders. While Hughley recently hinted to his fans that he had addressed the issue for the last time, the ongoing spotlight continues to shine on the rift between the two luminaries. Here's a recap of the events thus far. During a performance at the Fox Theater in Detroit on May 28th, Monique informed the audience that she was slated to be the headliner of the show. She also alleged that Hughley had refused to perform unless he was given the closing slot instead. That's what the MFing contract says, she declared to the crowd. Monique is to be the last person on the goddamn stage. She is the headliner. Monique asserted that this specific lineup was the reason she had agreed to participate in the show in the first place. She also took direct jabs at Hughley and mentioned Steve Harvey. Hughley later took to Instagram to respond, citing the lineup order listed on the event's tickets. He claimed that he had taken a risk by agreeing to work with Monique against his better judgment and against the advice of his team. Monique fired back, stating, "The fact that you point the people to the ticket stubs for the order of the names versus to your contract implies that you don't have a contract that shows you are the headliner like I do." She accused Hughley of exemplifying the bias against Black women in the entertainment industry. Following the altercation, both Hughley and Monique shared various documents related to the Detroit show on Instagram. Hughley shared his deal memo, which outlined provisions stating he would be the highest paid artist on the show and have approval of lineup and running order. The memo also indicated that Hughley would be closing the show. Monique then posted a performance agreement for the show, stating that she shall be the headliner of the show and the closing talent for the show. She pointed out that confusing different types of paperwork as interchangeable is a tactic used to exploit artists. Hughley questioned the authenticity of the agreement and drew attention to Monique's company, Hicks Media Inc. "I smell BS, and I wouldn't pick it up with the old birth certificate paper it was written on," he exclaimed. "Stop the cap." While some comedians could have simply swallowed their pride and accepted the terms of the stalemate, Monique and D.L. Hughley took the spat to social media, where things became far more heated and personal. So personal, in fact, that Monique called out Hughley for not publicly naming the person who essayed his daughter, Ryan Nicole Shepard. Hughley has spoken about the assault publicly in the past and explained that he had trouble believing his daughter at first because the alleged abuser was someone he trusted and respected. After the heated exchange, both parties seemed to put the to rest for a time, and though they never truly reconciled, it appeared as though the feud was over. During her Club Shay Shay appearance, Monique discussed an incident in which she appeared on D.L. Hughley's radio show without the King of Comedy star present, and became offended at the line of questioning she received during a segment of Would You Rather?
Would you rather your husband sleep with Lee Daniels with a or Corinne Steffens without one?
According to Monique, she had a personal discussion with Hughley after the event in which the comedian was incredibly dismissive of her grievances.
"Hey, DL, yeah." I said, "Listen, I just got off the phone with your team and they wanted to play this game, Would You Rather? And it was like, stupid." And his exact words were, "That's how we do it." I said, "DL, how does that uplift our community?" And again, I don't know what y'all trying to insinuate, but brother, what you doing?
Following the interview, Hughley was stopped by a TMZ reporter who asked if he would be interested in having a heart-to-heart with his soul-playing co-star on the show to possibly reconcile their differences, and he did not hesitate to say that he would not. "I would never go on Club Shay Shay. And no, I haven't spoken to Monique," he said as he was caught walking out of a building. "I think we've said all we need to say. I have nothing to say to her at all." Hughley was then asked if he would take back anything he said about Monique, and he said, "Not one thing." Not satisfied with his answer, the reporter reframed her question and asked if there could ever be reconciliation between him and his former friend. He was clear and said that he didn't think that there needed to be a reconciliation. "She said what she said. I said what I said," Hughley Hughley said. "We're grown people. We don't have to be in the same space. But I think the idea that people need to reconcile when they obviously are never going to see things eye to eye is a bit of a fallacy." In an Instagram post, Hughley called Monique a liar. "Welp, Club Shay Shay is getting messier and messier," Hughley said. "It's almost like Wendy Williams didn't go nowhere. She just got a wait set." He continued, "Every time I see Monique these days, she's doing some greasy video with her and her daddy complaining about something." After making an unprovoked joke about Monique's weight, Hughley brought up Monique's discussion on Club Shay Shay about visiting Hughley's radio show, where she was offended by his co-host. Hughley then provided his side of the story. "Monique's a liar. When Monique did call me, I hear her complaints. I listened to her and I pulled the segment. So if I had been as dismissive as she alleges I was, that segment would have aired. It didn't, because I respected her wishes. She's a liar. It also befuddles the out of me how somebody who's a comedian talks as much about everybody else that she does. She has the temerity to be offended about anything. As much ish as you say about people," he went on. Hughley doubled down, bringing up their past contract dispute and claimed that it rattled his family. "She knows the story, but what she did in response to that, she talked about my dog, my wife. This broad even brought out my daughter's personal trauma. My daughter was SA'd, and Monique brought that out and told the world that I allowed my daughter to be SA'd in front of me. The lying MF. She knows she was lying, and it only stopped when everyone from my family checked her." Hughley claimed that Monique is estranged with her children and grandchildren before airing out her professional life. "You know what else you won't see Monique doing? Telling jokes," he said. "Monique, if she were to spend as much time actually writing jokes and writing her Netflix special as she did complaining about not having one, it wouldn't have been trash. It got the worst reviews of any Netflix special in history because that's what Monique does. She complains and she has grievances." Claiming that the Baltimore native is never sweet and warm to people, Hughley alleged that Monique is an opportunist who's only kind to butter somebody up to get something. "There's a reason why everywhere she goes, starts," he said. More recently, DL Hughley made a recent appearance on The Jason Lee Show, where he opened up about the state of his family following Monique's viral interview with Shannon Sharp. According to the comedian, Monique's viral Club Shay Shay spill reignited a rift between him and his eldest daughter. The rift Hughley speaks of stems from the Parker Star speaking on Hughley's daughter's essay in 2022 and claiming that Hughley didn't protect his daughter at the time. "Here's what I will say. Whatever was said wasn't for me," he began to Lee. "Whatever was said opened up a wound in my daughter that we're arguing about right now. I've never had money all my life, but the love of my children I'll always have. And when something jeopardizes that, I could never forgive you for it," he went on. "I love my children, and to feel like I couldn't protect them and then that plays out over and over, it's something I won't forgive you for. My daughter is so angry with me she hasn't spoke to me in weeks." In 2022, Monique clapped back at Hughley about the sensitive topic following a dispute over a Detroit comedy show that they both were a part of. After a back and forth, Mo said that the 61-year-old could call out everyone except the name of the person that violated his daughter. In a long Instagram rant, Monique said at the time, "I find it funny that DL will call out Ice Cube, Kanye, Rizza Islam, Angela Stanton, myself, etc., but he won't call out the name of the person that violated his daughter." Hughley's oldest daughter, Ryan Nicole Shepard, responded to the comedian's insensitive post with a lengthy comment that pretty much summed the comedian up to be deliberately mean and hurtful, amongst the choice words of poisonous and disgusting for her behavior. She wrote, "You've now publicly disrespected my mother, who I love and care for very much, and my baby sister, who I love and care for very much to get back at my father, who I love, respect, and care for very much. At this point, I feel like you are asking my family and myself to act out of character. Out of all things you could have legitimately said about my dad, if that's the route you wanted to take, you chose to be deliberately mean and hurtful to two Black women who have another to do with this conversation. Using my mama and my sister to show people my father's character only shows how little mental stability, dignity, morality, and respect you have not only for yourself, but other Black women. You're clearly two crayons short of the full box, sis. You're disgusting, and you absolutely need to keep every single member of my family's name out of your poisonous mouth. Not because you can do us harm, you can't, but because you are adding to the historical and systematic disrespect and trauma of other Black women who you claim to love. And for what? A check? You're bringing up trauma for a concert lineup discrepancy? All you've done is proven that you have no moral compass. Nothing is too far in your quest to prove a point, and I'm blessed that my parents raised children who have no idea how you could possibly go there. We Hughleys are going to have a good day and a blessed life. We are healed. We are whole, and we love each other fiercely and deeply. You can continue to live in that scorched earth kingdom of yours. Get some help, ma'am, for real. Oh, and if you want to have this conversation in person, I'll happily give you my address. Monique replied to Shepard on Instagram, welcoming her to have a conversation about their differences, and ultimately retracted her statements during a comedy show. Hey, young sister, thank you for the invitation for a discussion. We would like to take you up on it, because it could be very healing for our community. Have DL Hughley set up a time for you and your family, and my husband and I to come on his show, and we will go from there, she wrote on IG at the time. The actress then delivered an apology to the comedian's family during her stand-up comedy show in Raleigh, North Carolina, in June 2022. I am a woman of honor, she said to the crowd, so I have to do something right now publicly that I started publicly, and when I F it up, I've got to fix it up. So I'm going to take care of that right now. To DL Hughley's family, I want to publicly apologize if I've hurt anyone's feelings. I never meant to hurt their family. I want to publicly apologize to his wife and his babies if I hurt their feelings. That was never my goddamn intentions. Now, about DL, I meant everything I said. In any case, Hughley was born in Portsmouth, the son of Audrey and Charles Hughley, who was a Delta Airlines maintenance worker. He is the second of 4 children. He stayed in Portsmouth for only 2 months before his family moved. Hughley grew up in South Central Los Angeles. Hughley's teen years were troubled as he became a member of the notorious street gang, the Bloods, and was expelled from San Pedro High School. However, he eventually turned his back on gang life, got his GED, and obtained employment with the Los Angeles Times. From 1992 to 1993, Hughley was the original host of Comic View, the stand-up comedy program on BET. In 1993, he also appeared in the 3rd season of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air as Will's friend Keith Campbell, a comedian from Philadelphia. From 1998 to 2002, he wrote, produced, and starred in the television sitcom series The Hughleys, based on his real-life experiences living with his African-American family in an upscale neighborhood. In 2005, he released a stand-up comedy album, DL Hughley, Notes from the GED Section, and had a short-lived talk show on Comedy Central called Weekends at the DL. He is a member of the original Kings of Comedy, and has also had roles on Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, and on NBC's Scrubs as Turk's brother. In 2008, he was the host of the BET Awards. He also attended the funeral of one of his best friends and fellow king of comedy, Bernie Mac, where he gave a tearful speech during the eulogy. In June 2010, Hughley served as special guest moderator of ABC's The View for one day. Hughley guest starred on TBS's Glory Days and guest hosted Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Hughley's first book, I Want You to Shut the F Up, How the Audacity of Dopes is Ruining America, with contributions from Michael Malice, was published on July 31, 2012, by Crown Archetype Press. Hughley was a contestant on season 16 of Dancing with the Stars. He was partnered with 2-time champion Cheryl Burke. Hughley's second book, Black Man, White House, An Oral History of the Obama Years, was published on June 6, 2017, by William Morrow. Hughley's third book, How Not to Get Shot, and Other Advice from White People with contributions from Doug Moe, was published on June 26, 2018, by William Morrow. Hughley's fourth book, Surrender White People, Our Unconditional Terms for Peace with contributions from Doug Moe, was published on June 30, 2020, by HarperCollins. Hughley's latest book, How to Survive America, was published June 15, 2021, with contributions from Doug Moe, was published on June 15, 2021, by Custom House. He is now hosting a talk show, The DL Hughley Show, that premiered on TV1 on March 18, 2019. Hughley was selected to host and write a comedic news show on CNN, which covers global happenings in politics, entertainment, sports, and pop culture, titled DL Hughley Breaks the News, which aired its premiere episode on Saturday, October 25, 2008, at 10 p.m. EDT on CNN. On March 9, 2009, CNN announced Hughley would be ending the show due to a desire desire to work in Los Angeles and be closer to his family. He planned to continue his work with CNN as a Los Angeles-based contributor for the network. Hughley also has a career as an on-air radio personality. On July 20th, 2009, the D.L. Hughley Morning Show premiered on WRKS, more popularly known at the time as 98.7 KISS FM, an urban adult contemporary station in New York City. His co-hosts included former BET News correspondent Jock Reed. Airing from 6 to 10 a.m., the show placed Hughley in direct competition with his fellow king of comedy, Steve Harvey, whose nationally syndicated Steve Harvey Morning Show airs in New York on WBLS. There were plans to take Hughley's show into syndication as well, but a dispute regarding his salary erupted between KISS FM's parent company and the potential syndication company. In August 2010, KISS FM dropped the show from its schedule, and Hughley moved on to other endeavors. On August 12, 2013, Reach Media, the syndicator founded by Tom Joyner, announced it had finalized a deal with DL to host a new nationally syndicated afternoon drive show, The D.L. Hughley Show, distributed by Cumulus Media Networks. Anyway, Hughley wasn't the only Hollywood star that was called out by Monique. Mo began by attacking Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey. Monique has for years pointed at Winfrey and Perry as the architects of her alleged Hollywood blackballing, allegations she repeated at length during the podcast. Oprah is certainly Monique's most repeated name during the interview, as she admitted that Winfrey was her first career inspiration as a heavyset black woman on television in the 1980s, when there were exceedingly few. But Monique insists that Winfrey has repeatedly held her back or kept her from cherry roles. Monique allegedly has an allegedly legal recording of Perry admitting that he spread false rumors about her being difficult to work with in Hollywood. Sharp then asked Monique what it would take to forgive Winfrey and Perry, to which she said, "Take accountability. He cost my family millions," she said. "I want that back." Monique also went all in on fellow comedian Kevin Hart. Monique prefaced her comments about him by admitting that Hart wrote a check to support her when she was down bad and that she would be forever grateful for it, though she made a point to say that she paid it back with interest. When Monique was a guest on Hart's podcast Comedy Gold Mines in 2021, he introduced her as an auntie, a mama, a spirit, and called her Mama Mo. She spoke on the podcast about Winfrey, Perry, and Precious director Lee Daniels, who had not yet publicly apologized to her. Hart said he'd reach out to Perry to coordinate squashing, to which Perry was allegedly not amenable. But she said Hart promised her he would executive produce and partner with her on whatever she was working on, which excited her because she and Hicks were working on a talk show deal. Hart's manager, Dave Becky, allegedly told Monique's production company that Hart wanted nothing to do with her. "I called Kevin Hart immediately and told him, 'They said you didn't want to work with me,' she said. He said, 'It's just a miscommunication. We're going to talk Tuesday.' That was 2 years ago. I've never talked to Kevin Hart again. That's what we're faced with. You allow someone to come between your relationship with a woman you said was like your mother." As if that's not enough, Mo also spared some venom for Tiffany Haddish. In 2018, Monique asked fans to boycott Netflix over a perceived wage gap with black woman-performed comedy specials. GQ asked Haddish about the issue in 2008. "I don't live her life. I don't have that husband of hers. I'm looking at how Netflix has opened up so many opportunities for black females in comedy." Sharp asked Monique about Haddish's comments. "When I saw that, I said, 'Tiffany, if you had a husband like mine, you may not have 2 DUIs, Monique said. "If you had a husband like mine, you may not have been caught up in what looks like a child. And I say all of that with no judgment." In any case, with all the juicy exposés she's been dropping, fans are crossing their fingers that Monique stays out of harm's way and that the big shots won't come knocking on her door for payback. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.